Hello super friends and welcome to DC TV Talk, and in today's episode we're going to be breaking down and reviewing Arrow Season 7 Episode 7, otherwise entitled The Slabside Redemption. And before you proceed with this review, make sure you've seen the episode as it will be filled with spoilers. So just a couple of things to note before I dive into this review. I do apologise if this review seems a bit rough around the edges and not up to the same sort of standard as you would normally expect from this channel. Basically, my hand is absolutely battered today after work. I have a basically form of repetitive strain injury, so my hand really hurts today. So I do apologise for that. And also because of that, I'm not going to be doing my Legends of Tomorrow review today. I'm going to postpone that until Thursday. So I do apologise for that, but it's just, you know, my hand is in severe pain today, but I really wanted to get out my Arrow review because I really want to talk about this episode. So this episode actually had quite a lot of hype surrounding it. I was really surprised to see the showrunners and also the writers, the director, really pushing this episode and advertising it and hyping it up almost the same level that they would typically hype up something like a finale. It was really interesting to see that everybody involved with this was super passionate about this episode, and when you actually see it, you really understand why. I have to give the biggest of congratulations to James Bamford. James Bamford was the director of this episode. He's a pretty big Arrow director. They normally give him the premieres, the finales, the big episodes, mid-season finales. He normally gets those, and he returns here with 707. And this was a brilliantly directed episode on all accounts. Now, James Bamford, if you don't know, used to be the stunt coordinator for Arrow, and they started letting him direct. And I think that most Arrow fans will tell you that his directing episodes are normally some of the best. And with this is easily, for me, the best episode of the season, and this may possibly be the best episode of Arrow, or one of the best episodes of Arrow of all time. It's definitely up there. It's incredible, and I think a lot of that really does come down to James Bamford and his directing. Also, I think the MVP of this episode was definitely Michael Jai White as Bronze Tiger. He was incredible in this episode. His chemistry with Stephen Amell was really well realised, and a bond I didn't even know was really there. But their chemistry, the way they were able to bounce off each other, worked really well. Like, I love the scene when they come out of their cells and, you know, Oliver says, "How did you get out of your cell?" And Ben Turner's like, "Well, how did you get out of yours?" Like, just this plausible deniability thing. I thought that was really fun, and their dynamics together. There's even that great line when they're in that like cleaning room together, and this, you know, he says, you know, the old Green Arrow only ever saw black and white. Now you see shades of grey too. It'll probably make you a better hero. Like, some really good lines. Like, Bronze Tiger was amazing in this episode, and I thought all the way through it, either the way he teamed up with Oliver, the way he eventually went up against Brick and Samson, I thought was really great. He was just a great addition, and given where they end him off in this episode, given where, you know, his arc kind of closes off in this episode, I'm very interested to see if he returns this season. Like, will he go to Argus like promised, or will he go off and do his own thing like in the comics? I don't know, but I'm really excited about the future for Bronze Tiger, and Michael Jai White was a true standout for me, easily my favourite part of the episode. Now, it was teased at the end of the last episode that Stanley may not be as trustworthy as we first thought, as it appeared as if, you know, maybe he was actually the murderer of the guard Dunbar. So, turns out in this, he does basically get ratted out, and Stanley was crazy in this episode. Like, he went mental. He was kind of ratted out by Oliver, and he does bring up a good point, though, when he says, you know, I'm basically doing exactly what the Green Arrow did. I'm taking out bad guys, you know, we're no different from each other. And obviously Oliver's like, oh, of course it's different, even though really it's not. But I think that, you know, I think Brendan Fletcher did a great job in this episode. He really pulled off that, you know, Stanley could be this mental character. Like, he looks absolutely crazy in a couple of the scenes. Like, the scene when he poisons Oliver with that sedative, like, the look in his eyes, like, he looked crazy. And then at the end, he kills Brick. Like, I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that. He actually killed Brick. Well, it's not actually confirmed if he kills Brick. Like, I don't know if they ever actually confirmed that Brick's dead, but he looks dead to me. So I'm going to say he's dead, and Stanley killed him. And I think that was pretty insane. And Stanley actually escapes the prison through the morgue the same way that Talia al Ghul did. So it's very likely that we're going to see Stanley pop up again, and I think that's really interesting. And given what kind of character Stanley is in the comics, he is, if you don't know, he is a mass child murderer. Who knows what's going to happen with this character, but I'm very excited to see the future of him. I might do a video on him later on this week. Now, this episode is basically a massive 40-minute long action sequence, and I don't have a single problem with that. The entire episode is non-stop. It's so well filmed, like I say, and so well executed. The choreography is on another level in this episode, because basically the entire episode, its full runtime, is essentially choreographed, and that's extremely impressive, where you have about 100 extras who are playing all the prisoners, and the way that they're able to be moved around and the way they are moving around in comparison to Oliver and Ben is really interesting. And again, I think it's a super commendable achievement to see all this basically come together. Also, a particular fight scene I really want to mention is the one with Oliver and Bronze Tiger against all the prisoners when they're trying to save the guards' lives. Like, it's a there's literally a particular shot that goes on for about 30-40 seconds. It's a one-take shot. Really awesome stuff. I love seeing that. I love a good one-take fight scene, and we got that here. It's also multi-leveled, because the prison's obviously multi-leveled, so like Oliver is just like climbing all over the place, you know, jumping from one place to the other. It's just insane to watch, but incredibly fun. And again, I completely put this down to James Bamford and his stunt team. Just so well handled. Now, of course, the reason why this whole prison riot is happening is due to our good friend Ricardo Diaz, and the scene between him and Oliver in the phone booth was quite interesting, but the way that he actually gets into the prison and is able to manipulate all the prisoners was really fun in that sense. And I loved seeing his fight against Oliver. He had a brief one on the rooftop, and then eventually when they actually was in the prison, in the cell, I mean, Diaz was really handing it to Oliver. Like, he was really kicking his ass, and I thought that was really interesting because obviously Oliver should typically be a stronger fighter than Diaz. He should be a better fighter than Diaz, but because Diaz obviously now has this potential, like this drug that he's been injecting himself with, this Mirakuru style thing, it could be that, you know, he does say to Oliver, I'm stronger now, and he does literally mean that. Like, you know, he is physically stronger than he was, and maybe that's why he was able to do it. But of course Oliver was able to prevail. He just was waiting for that perfect time to strike, and he does stab Diaz, and he ends up in the cell that Oliver was in. Now, it's not 100% clear what's going to happen with Diaz going forward. Like, I don't know if this is his story kind of done for the season, because we know he's a series regular. So, you know, I don't quite know what they're going to do with Diaz. Like, is he going to stay in Slabside? Is he going to get out? Is he going to be transferred? Like, we don't even know what's going to happen with Slabside. Like, Slabside was a real mess at the end of this episode. So, I don't even know what they're going to do with it. I don't know what they're going to do with this character, but, you know, given the fact that we had this amazing final fight between Oliver and Diaz was really satisfying. And of course, we have the ending of the episode where Oliver is finally set free. He's opened the gates. And what I love about this is the shot when Oliver first comes out of prison. You just see him revel in the sunlight and the fresh air as he's finally free. Especially because this episode feels so contained, because the only storyline in this episode is in the prison. The entire episode is in the prison. There's no other storylines with Felicity or Diggle or Dinah or Renee, any other character. It's literally Oliver and the prison characters, and it's all in the prison. And it's so focused because of it, and I love it. And, you know, because you feel so contained and shut in this entire episode, as soon as Oliver gets out and breathes in that fresh air, you also take a deep breath, because you feel like you've finally been let loose as well. And we finally have the reunion between Oliver and Felicity. Felicity runs over and kisses Oliver. And what I really like about this is that normally with these kind of Felicity scenes, they can be ruined. And I think that the reason why this one worked so well and hit home in quite a strong way is that there was no dialogue. Normally in this kind of scene, Felicity or Emily Bett-Rickards would end up saying something, and it normally compromises the emotion of the scene. But in this case, there was no dialogue, and I think it was so much more effective because of it. And a bit more of a funny thing is Diggle is also in this scene. Diggle doesn't get any dialogue, but what's hilarious about this, and this has just become a meme over the past few hours, is you know, in one shot, Diggle's there, and then the camera pans out, and Diggle's completely gone. Like, Diggle's just not there, and people are saying that Diggle's now a magician and can make himself disappear. Obviously, it was probably just an editing mistake, but I just find it funny the fact that Diggle's there in one shot, and then the next shot he's gone. Obviously, it was just a mistake, but it is quite a funny little moment. Overall, though, I think that episode 7 is hands down the best episode of Arrow Season 7 thus far. It's incredible to see how strong this season is, because normally 7 episodes in, you know, you'd have a weak one by now. But every episode of Arrow this season has just been knocking it out of the park week after week after week, and I think that's really commendable. I can't believe the, you know, consistent quality we're getting with Arrow this season, and I'm all for it. I'm loving it. Obviously, next week we've got the mid-season finale, and I'm so excited about that, and seeing where we're going to go from there for the rest of the season. Season 7 has been such a true treasure to watch, especially as an Arrow fan. Seeing, you know, all this really go down has been insane, and like I say, hands down, best episode of the season thus far. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. It'll help me out a lot. And share this video with anyone and everyone you know who loves DC TV, and get them to join the community. And as always, guys, please subscribe for your latest content on Supergirl, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow. And with all that said, guys, I hope to see you again in my next video.